Blog Talk Radio.
Hey there! Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio's special World Party with Nancy Reed and Lisa Smith. We're the mother-daughter travel team and publishers of the digital interactive Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. That's our travel and lifestyle variety publication. And we also publish Parks and Travel magazine that covers just that, parks and travel. And you can see them both at BigBlendMagazines.com. Nancy, it's chilly out.
It is. I'm not used to it.
I know. It's November.
Like what happened?
It's November 11th today, November 11th, 2018, and we're raising our glasses to all men and women who have served our country in our military forces. It is Veterans Day. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, why don't we extend the toast? Because we know we like to toast double.
Oh, she's toasting again.
Yes, first responders.
Absolutely.
I think our police and firemen and our first responders are absolutely amazing people. We can't let them out.
Anyone in uniform.
Well, we like uniforms too.
And firemen. No, thank you all for all you're doing, and just our hearts are out there talking about first responders right now in California with the wildfires. It's just out of control, crazy. So much going on. But today we are having a bit of a party. We're going to hop across the pond.
Okay.
We're going to go chat with Glynn Burrows, who's a family history expert and owner of Norfolk Tours over in England. He's going to talk about Windsor Castle in England.
Nice.
Yes, wonderful Windsor Castle.
That used to be my home.
Then Hilarie Larson, you know her here on Big Blend. Hilarie Larson, a travel writer, food and wine writer, the wine queen. She's on the show with travel writer Elizabeth Heath. And we're going to have our world travel, or I should say travel writer chit-chat party. Right. Chit-chat. We like to have our chit-chat discussions. And then we got some Hollywood history with Steve Schneickert. He's going to recall the Hollywood history of world cinema and foreign film.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oui.
Yeah. Oui.
Si.
Okay. Music. Okay, we got to always have music, right? We have Ecco by Emiliano Deferrari, because we are doing some Italy today with Elizabeth Heath. Her segments from she's in Italy.
That's cool.
Umbria.
Maybe they'll meet.
Yes, and Emiliano Deferrari, his latest album, Monty, is out. He recorded it in Brussels, where he lives, but he's from Italy, and his album is in Italian, and it's cool. Yeah. And also Jann, Klose, who is German but lived in South Africa and Kenya and here in the States and, of course, Germany. We're going to play his song. It's a wedding song and that he wrote for his mom. And he's in South Africa, touring South Africa with his brand new album, In Tandem, which features a lot of different South African musicians and singers.
We like that.
I know. So this is totally international. And today, since it's Veterans Day, we're going to play Captain America by Nicki, Kris, based in North Carolina. Because really they are just amazing people who serve our country. And also, hey, it touches a little bit on Hollywood history since, Captain America.
Exactly.
Just saying. We want to thank the International Food, Wine, and Travel Writers Association for sponsoring today's show. You can go visit them if you're a travel writer, a photographer, or a destination. See ifwtwa.org. So are you ready to hop the pond?
Hop, skip, and a jump.
Yes. Get your armbands
whichever,
on. Yeah.
In case I miss.
You're going to go across the ocean.
Yes.
Okay. Stay tuned, everyone. Welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy Reed and Lisa Smith, the mother-daughter travel team and publishers of the digital interactive Big Blend magazines. Our friend Glynn Burrows, a family history expert and owner of Norfolk Tours in England, is back on the show today, and he's going to tell us all about historic and magnificent Windsor Castle in England, apparently the largest castle in the world. Amazing.
That's amazing. Huh?
Amazing. And old, over 900 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. His article and photos are featured in the November through January issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. If you go to blendradioandtv.com, you'll see Glynn in our expert department. You'll see all his articles and interviews from the past, but also you'll find this one as well, this brand new one. And the thing to do, though, is if you're going to England, Scotland, or Wales, you got to go visit Glynn, and he'll take you around and show you all the things you want to see in England and all the experiences, maybe even connect you with your family. Who knows? Maybe you have family history in Windsor Castle. Well, that would be good. So go to his website, norfolk-tours.co.uk. Glynn, how are you?
I'm fantastic, thanks.
Hey, it's good to have you back on the show. I know you just did a nice Sunday walk at Sandringham. I mean, so now we're going to talk about Windsor. I mean,
yes.
You have some magnificent, history in royal history in England for people to explore. But
we do, and the fantastic thing is, it's on the doorstep. As I was saying to Holly in my interview with her the other day, England is quite small compared to America, Canada, Australia. So actually it's not that far. And in fact, Diane and I just went to Sandringham. It only takes about half an hour to drive to Sandringham, and then we had a lovely walk in the Queen's private gardens. How's that, eh?
Wow.
And guess what we had? We had a cheese scone and a cup of coffee. That was lovely.
Oh,
nice.
We love those cheese scones.
I know.
And it's either that or a Mr. Whippy, Gotta have my little Mr.
Well, Diane
Whippy
just wanted a Mr. Whippy, but I'm afraid the queue was far too long. You know how us English people love queuing up. Well,
yeah. Yeah,
the queue was just far too long.
No. So Windsor Castle, we were looking at your photos, and you got us looking at Google Earth of how massive this is. I mean, it's the largest one, but over 900 years. That's amazing. So this is, you're talking about how everything's pretty close. This is like if you fly into England, a lot of times you Heathrow or what's the other one that we used to go into? Gatwick, thank you. I knew there was a W in there somewhere.
Yes.
This can't be that far. It could be like your first stop.
Funnily enough, Heathrow, you actually fly over Windsor Castle when you come in via Heathrow, because there are always aeroplanes going over the castle. And I remember one of the guides was talking to me once, and he said the funniest thing was he had a tourist, I won't say where she came from, but she did say that it was really silly of the Queen building her castle in the flight path of Heathrow Airport. Exactly.
Oh my gosh!
I could guess where it came from.
Don't start me. But that's okay because the history of aviation doesn't go back 900 years, does it? Does that recall?
Probably not.
Wow. So who started the castle? Who built it? Because I know you said in your article that it's gone through a lot of different changes over the years. Who said, okay, we're putting a castle here?
Well, obviously, when Henry VIII, what am I talking about? When William the Conqueror came over from Normandy, he decided that he'd put up different castles all over the place, and this was one of the ones that the Normans started. And it was on the outskirts of London. It was in a fantastically big park, and this was one of their Norman castles. So it was started, soon after William the Conqueror came over from Normandy. It's a typical Norman castle design. So what we call in England, it's a motte and bailey castle, which means it's the castle itself, the keep, which is the main strong part of the castle, is standing on a hill, and normally these hills are man-made. So the castle itself is standing on a hill, and then it's surrounded by an inner bailey, which is an area that's enclosed by a wall, and then a bank, and then it's surrounded by an outer bailey, which is another flat area with a bank around it with a wall on top, and then just outside that is probably the town. Well, that's basically the plan of most Norman castles. So Windsor Castle is not unusual in its design, but it's just big.
And just to clarify, when you say bank, we're not going in there and robbing it, right? You mean a bank up on a little hill thing?
An embankment, yes.
Yeah, okay. Just because Nancy's looking, going, ooh, there's a bank there too. There'll be ATM machines everywhere.
Yeah, what a funny place to put an ATM machine.
I know, really. Did the Queen know about the ATM machine?
Probably not.
Oh my gosh! And then it's on a river, so that's also everyone builds on when you're near water. That's like the main thing to do when you're going to build a place.
Well, exactly, because, in medieval times, and really up until relatively recently, up until the railways came, the main way that anybody would travel any distance is by water, because it was the simplest and the easiest way to travel and to take goods. So if you want to build anything, you build it near a river, because then you can bring up the river all your stone to build the castle. And also you could bring all your goods, and also 9 times out of 10, if you've got a castle, you're building it near a bridge, or you're going to build a bridge where the castle is, and then where your castle is, you've got control of the bridge. So you've got a very strong position. And also if you're building near a river, that's another thing that you don't have to worry too much about defending. Because if you've got a river, anyone who's going to attack your castle is going to have to come across the river if they're going to come on that side. So very often you'll find that a castle is built on a bend in the river. So at least one side of it is on the water. So that's another side that is easier to defend. They're pretty clever, these Normans, when they built castles,
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, because
the nice view.
Nice view.
Easy
fantastic view.
I like the little closed areas where it's like the maze, like castle mazes, when you get to go around and get lost in there, But I like that you have like little walled-in gardens, and that's got to be the gardens there. I mean, wow, wow. Between there and Sandringham, I mean, that's just beautiful. It's all closed in. So are there kitchen gardens?
At Windsor, there would have been kitchen gardens, and there are still some formal gardens. If you look on Google Earth and you look from above, you can see that on one side of the castle, there are quite a large area of formal gardens. And then out the front of the castle, which is the bit that's not facing the river, that piece is a fantastic open parkland, which is where, if you remember when Harry and Meghan got married and they then drove back into the castle, they drove along a really long, straight road. And that is the road that runs through the park. And that's a fantastic open green space with trees either side. But there is a formal garden, and there would have been a kitchen garden there as well, but they obviously done away with that because they don't need it. They can pop to the market if they want to go and buy some potatoes.
When you've got I know, because like Sandringham, you can go there, but certain times you can't when the Queen is there. So is someone living in there?
In Windsor, there is a private wing where the royal family live at Windsor. So that although the castle itself is open, there are quite a few bits of it that you can't get into because there's quite a large wing which holds a lot of the administration areas and private libraries, private rooms, and then there is another wing at the side that the royal family actually live in, and obviously that's not open to the public. And if there is anything going on, then obviously other parts of the castle are closed as well. Like, for instance, when I was at Windsor Castle a few months ago, we couldn't actually go into the chapel because there was something going on, so we couldn't actually go into the chapel to have a look at it, which was a bit disappointing. But it's a working building, so things have to be closed when they're using them.
That's and it's just amazing though that they even allow people in there.
Yeah, I mean that's in Sandringham. I mean, before 1977, Sandringham wasn't open to the public. So we're very fortunate that actually we can get in to see a lot of these places now. It's only very recent that Buckingham Palace has been open to the public. I mean, I haven't been yet myself, but it's only in the last, I don't know, 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
No,
I don't remember.
No, I haven't been. Like I say, it's very recent that that's been open to the public. So we are quite fortunate.
And people do check because I remember, in England, even South Africa is very security conscious. And now I think, the rest of the world is kind of like that now. And here is too. But I'm used to going through, even going into a grocery store, you'd be checked,
Oh, right.
It's not there yet here. Here it hasn't gone to that level.
Well, going into Windsor Castle, you do have to go through airport security.
Yeah. But that only makes sense, This is such a historic and special place. You want to preserve everything you can of it, But when you were talking in your article about, these are one of the main attractions like Stonehenge, where people, they're going to go to England, they're going to go I want to see some of these really main sites, and this is one of them. When you say that it's busy because it's so popular, but you say if you kind of keep your eyes peeled, you can find a mom and pop shop, so it's not anything. You can kind of avoid the touristy trap kind of stuff.
Well, you can. I mean, obviously, in the castle itself, you are surrounded by tourists. And that's only obvious. That's what you're going to get because you're in a tourist place, like when you go to Stratford-upon-Avon, when you go to Stonehenge. But when you come out of the castle and you're looking around Windsor itself, obviously you're going to find the plastic souvenirs that were made in, I don't know where. But you're also going to find, if you go off the beaten track and go up some of the little alleyways and the little lanes, you're going to find a lovely coffee shop that's run by Mr. and Mrs. Miggins or whoever, and you're going to find nice local touristy things that you can buy that were made locally. Because there's nothing worse than buying a souvenir from somewhere and then actually when you get home and you look at it, it's made somewhere else. I mean, I found that when we were in Canada. The first time we went in 2016. We were at Niagara Falls, and I wanted some souvenirs. And we actually, at Niagara Falls, we couldn't actually find any souvenirs that were made in Canada, which we found quite amazing. But we found some when we went to Niagara-on-the-Lake, which is a beautiful little town, not far away from Niagara Falls. And, we were able to find some nice local souvenirs. Well, you can do that in Windsor if you look around. But if you just go to a touristy shop, you're going to find touristy tat, as we say
Made
in
in China.
Made in China.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, over here, that's how. No, that's what they say over here. Yeah, everything here is. I mean,
China or Mexico.
Yeah, you could go to a store, or just a regular store, a department store. It's nothing's made here anymore. And there's a big movement to change that. A lot of people, one of our friends, Katina, she has a shop in just up the street from where the Bacon Ranch, your family ranch is in Central California, Glynn. I know we're gonna have to dig into that history. I was actually talking about that the other day with the Historical Society in San Benito County, California. But she owns San Benito Bene. Give her a shout out on the show today. If you're in Central California and you're Hollister, and everything, her entire store is locally produced goods. So olive oils from the local farmers, peaches, chocolates, vinegars, bath and beauty products, jewelry. Everything is from locally sourced people. And even when it gets down to your food, you want your food, you want the salad to come from the vegetables in the same town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like I said, whenever I go anywhere, I think you know me well enough to know that I have a cheese scone wherever I go because I'm very predictable. But, there's nothing worse than having a cheese scone that's just in a plastic wrapper and has been bought by somebody from a cash and carry outlet and then just thrown on a plate. And I'm charged £2.50 for thing that probably only cost a few pence. I don't want that. I want something that's been made by the local baker, or even in the coffee shop itself. Because that's what you want when you go somewhere. You don't want to have something that's mass produced in the factory.
That's
right. But I do want to have that. That's
I can have that anywhere.
Oh, but it's when the butter's all melting and it. I
know you make me hungry.
I'm hungry right now. I want a tea scone.
I think you should make some today.
Okay, Nancy.
Yeah.
There you go.
We haven't done that for.
Oh man, and
years.
when you use really sharp cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh man.
I need to see pictures. I need to see pictures when you're
That's
baking.
right. That's it. Okay, everybody. Cool. Nancy's scones coming up. Yeah, we haven't made scones in years. We've got the recipe thanks to Diane.
Yeah, you got the recipe.
Yep, absolutely. It's yummy. It's delicious. I want now. So you can have tea and scones in the castle.
You can, but that's
really?
Not necessarily where you would want to eat it, because that's more of a mass-produced sort of area, because that is catered for by the sort of touristy type people. Whenever I go there, I go in the back streets and I find a proper little tea shop, because that's what I want to sample, and that's what I want my guests to sample. I don't want them to sample something out of a microwave. I want them to sample something that's made locally. So yeah, I mean, you can obviously you can have a Mr. Whippy or a cup of coffee in the castle grounds, but I don't always suggest that's a good idea.
Yeah, you want the sense of place. You want. Well, that's kind of a pity, that happened, because
I quite agree.
To be able, you go to the castle. This is on your bucket list, because I think this is going to be one of those places that people are like, if I'm going to England, I'm going here. I have to do this, and like Stonehenge. And to me, it's like, you want to have proper English tea.
Yes.
But I think, though, at the end of the day, always the side streets are cool. The back streets, the side streets, you always meet people on, just doing their normal business, and having those fresh scones like you're talking about. But going back in the castle, what are the views of the river? Have got to be amazing. I mean, can you walk along the river?
Well, you can, but the castle itself is set so high above the town that you're looking down on it all the time, because the castle itself is built on a high part of the town anyway, and then there is the man-made mound as well, so you're extra high. But when I finish, normally when I've been to the castle and I go back to the car, which I don't park close by to the castle, because that's all pretty difficult to park, so I park a little way away, and I always walk back along the river. And that is gorgeous, because you've got the swans and you've got the boats and you've got the riverside pubs, which is a lovely way to spend an evening, just to sit by the river, to watch the swans swimming by, have if you drink a pint of English beer, you can have a pint of beer and something nice to eat. And that is so calming, Water is always good, isn't it?
Yeah.
To sit beside running water is so relaxing. And to do that with a nice pint of beer in your hand and a nice bar snack, or fish and chips or whatever you fancy, that's a beautiful way to spend an evening. And the river at Windsor is absolutely beautiful. It really is, as you saw from the pictures, hopefully.
The swans are so amazing.
I know. They're so elegant.
They're so pretty. And they're. I had an experience at Martin Mere with a swan, a baby swan, put its head under the water and got it hooked on some metal hook that was put into some cement in the little lake there. And it could get out if it didn't panic and just pull its head back out the way it came in, But it panicked because it tried to put its head up and couldn't. And then his wings were flapping. So I went in the water and I got it out. And then Mommy and Daddy Swan told me what they thought of that.
Oh,
you run. Don't mess with the swans. But you saved the swan. Yeah, that's cool. That water's cold.
But I think in their mind, I caused it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, but it was interesting because all of a sudden the pretty swans became mean geese.
Yeah, but I think swans are, like the royal family of birds, swans and peacocks.
Yeah.
Do they have peacocks?
Yes. We do, but they're obviously not locals. They're brought in.
Yeah.
But yes, we do. Then they make a horrendous noise. Peacocks do.
I know, but I like them.
I
like them. So you said also, so a lot of weddings happen here, but this is also the final resting place for many of the royal family.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Windsor itself is a place where lots of our kings and queens are actually buried, and there are quite a few of their memorials there, and that's where the Queen wants to be. That's where the Queen Mother and George VI are, and then there's Frogmore, which is not far away either. So they've got their own little chapel, not too small, but just a chapel, But yeah, I mean, it's their sort of private family church, I suppose, that has been there for donkey's years. So that's where a lot of them have got married, been christened, and where they're buried. I mean, we all saw the magnificent building when Harry and Meghan got married. It's a beautiful place, and it's so nice because it is it's a family place, if you know what I mean. I mean, although obviously the royal family have got lots of family places, but this is one of them that has been in the family since 900 years. That's a long while.
Wow. Well, so now, do you think anyone's family history, people could end up tracing it back to the castle?
Of course. I mean, if you think how many royal family members have lived there, but you've also got all the servants, and loads of servants would have lived in the castle, and they would have lived in the area surrounding the castle. So, anybody who lived in Windsor would have a royal connection, because that's the big family. So you would be working for them. So I would think that there must be hundreds and thousands of people in the world who can find their ancestry going back and living in Windsor Castle. That is, it's pretty special, really. I mean, when I was in Sandringham yesterday, I was looking around the museum, and there's some photos on the wall of the staff at Sandringham, because obviously that's a big estate. And there was a man there who Diane knew. She used to go to college with this man's daughter, and the man in the picture used to be the Queen's estate accountant, so she knew him. And there was also a man on the picture that I knew. He used to live in the village I come from originally, and he used to be the man who looked after the Queen's pigeons, because the Queen has racing pigeons. So that's quite nice to see that there's a picture of the Queen with her staff, and we both of us, we knew somebody on the picture. So all of these big estates had loads of people working for them. So if you find a connection to Windsor, or if you find a connection to Sandringham, it's more than likely that your ancestors were actually working for the Queen. I mean, I did have a lady a few months ago now. It was her birthday, and her daughter wanted a bit of a trip out for her. And her father actually used to be one of the gamekeepers.
That's right.
And I was able to take them back to the house on the Sandringham estate where they lived when they were little. So that is the sort of connections that you can find.
Do you help?
Lovely.
It is. I mean, to me, when you start, making those connections, and having you on the show for years. I know Holly over at Family History Expos, and you just did the seminar. You did like a class online at her expo, right?
That's right.
You were one of the presenters. Awesome. But over the years, all these stories and your story going back to getting you over to Canada now with that, connecting with your family history. Do you help locals with their family history? People in Norfolk and in England, do they come to you for that too?
Yes, I mean this lady who I took back to Sandringham, she lives just outside Norwich, which is 20 miles away. But her daughter wanted somebody to take her around, and I took her daughter as well with her, and we had a lovely day out, taking her back to places connected to her childhood. That was something that her daughter knew a little bit about, but she gave me the information. Then I've done a lot more research about it. So I took her back to where the house that she was in when she was first born, and then moved around to different places and ended up at Sandringham. But I was able to discover loads of things that they didn't know, which was interesting to her daughter as well as to her, obviously.
Wow,
and
that's amazing.
I did ruin a bit of a family story because she had always thought that she lived in one particular house on an estate near Cromer, and she thought she lived in the main gatehouse at this particular hall, and I was able to find that actually she lived in another gatehouse, which was not the big one; it was a little one. So I was able to take her to it and show her actually where she did live when she was first born.
Wow.
But that's what it's about. It's about getting information and following it all up.
Yeah. You're like the puzzle solver. You go out and the mystery man here, going and
I like to
unraveling.
try.
Yeah, family history mysteries too. You always wonder. Okay, well, it's funny because when you think about it, our minds over the years start to forget exactly where everything was, and then things change. Things get built up around and everywhere. But Glynn, we got a special song for you today.
I know you've said.
Yes, but before we do that, I do have a question. If you could go back in that time machine, we love the time machine. You could go for a 1-hour walk. We love the 1-hour walks.
I do.
Everyone, Facebook group, 1-hour walk, check it out. And you took a walk through Windsor Castle on the grounds or along the river, but there. And you could go back in the past and take a walk with anyone who was at Windsor Castle. Who would it be?
That's a bit of a difficult one, really. I think
you got to go through 900 years of history.
Yes, exactly. There are so many to choose from. I think I'll just have to pick somebody who is not a person who I know. I would like to have a walk with one of the gardeners who worked there in about 1850, just to have a walk around the gardens and see what he could tell me about what he was growing and what they were using it for. Because that sort of thing is fascinating, as to how a normal person lived and what they did. That's the sort of thing that fascinates me. So that's what I'd do. Just a chat with one of the gardeners at Windsor Castle in 1850.
I like that. Because they did medicinal herbs and all kinds of things.
Exactly.
And what we were eating is going to be a little bit different. I love that.
Yes.
Everyone, again, keep up with Glynn. Go to norfolk-tours.co.uk, and he'll help you plan your trip through England and help you connect with your family history over there. And also his article, again, is up on Blend Radio and TV magazine, or sorry, I should say blendradioandtv.com, and is also in the November through January issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. And just type in Windsor and you'll find it, or just type in Glynn and you'll find all his articles on that site as well. And we want to thank everyone for joining us here on Big Blend Radio. Our show schedule is all up on bigblendradio.com. You can listen to shows as they go live or later on demand anytime at your leisure. But here is our special song. It's called The Wedding Song. It's from Jann Klose's latest album. Jann Klose is an amazing singer-songwriter. He's traveled the world. He's lived in Kenya. He's lived in South Africa, Germany, America, all over the place. And his latest album is called In Tandem. It's a beautiful album. And this song is Wedding Song. And he has one version in German on the album. And then this one is the final song on the album. And he wrote this for his mom when she was getting remarried. So it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And since, this is, Windsor Castle is such a, wow, have a wedding there. Why not? So, wow. We're going to dedicate it to everyone who's been married there. So here it is, wedding song, and you can keep up with Jann. Go to JANNKLOSE, JannKlose.com. Thanks so much, Glynn.
Thanks, Glynn.
Yeah, bye. Speak to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You are with me, I am with you. On this road we'll walk, a steep hill, a big thrill, one in a million love. More and more, always here for one another. Not alone, with you I'm home, we have each other. And when you're tired, love, I'll carry you, you'll carry me, we'll have each other's trust. Stronger than I was before, because of you. Up and down will come, no doubt, but this is true. Together.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio's World Travel Party Chit Chat with Nancy Reed and Lisa Smith, the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of the digital interactive Big Blend Radio and TV magazine and Parks and Travel magazine. And you can see them both. Just go to bigblendmagazines.com. Excited today, Nancy. We love to have our travel writer chit chat.
I know.
Chit chat. Have a Kit
Chit
Kat.
chat.
Now I want a chocolate bar.
I want a glass of wine.
I know. Anyway, today we've got two awesome ladies joining us. We have Hilarie Larson and Elizabeth Heath. Both of them are travel, food, and wine writers, and we're going to be hearing about their world travels, the food, the wine, everything they've been doing, and also we're going to find out about where their next destinations are as well. And, Elizabeth's calling in from Italy. So we're going to end with some music from Emiliano Deferrari. We're going to play Ecco from his new album Monty.
Nice.
And yes, and it's all, it's an Italian album. He's from Rome, and he recorded it in Brussels. So that makes sense for today's show, I think, for sure. He's a world traveler. Before we get started, I want to thank the International Food, Wine, and Travel Writers Association for sponsoring our world travel parties. Everyone, if you are in the world of travel writing, food writing, photography, if you're an author or a destination, please go to ifwtwa.org. It's an awesome organization. So let me introduce everybody. Hilarie Larson, a lot of you have heard her on Big Blend Radio. She's written in Parks and Travel magazine. She's written in our Big Blend Radio TV magazine. She writes in a number of other publications as well. And she knows all about wine. We call her the Wine Queen. She also runs Northwind's Wine Consulting out in Temecula in Southern California's wine country. But she will travel for wine. That we know. Isn't that right, Hilarie? Welcome back.
Most definitely. Yes. Thank you for having me back. It's always fun to be with you.
Hey, I know. And we've been on our different parties. I think this is the first world party, right, that you've been on with us.
I believe it is.
Yeah, she's been on Christmas parties, Halloween parties,
wine parties,
champagne parties.
I've been on that big blend bus many a time.
I know. Well, this is a global bus today. Everyone, again, Hilarie's website is northwindswineconsulting.com. You can also find her on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Also, I want to bring on Elizabeth Heath. Now, Elizabeth is calling in from Italy, and she is also a writer. She's got an interesting background. One thing I know the two ladies have in common is they love history, which is great.
That's cool.
And so Elizabeth's website is elizabethheath.com. You can also find her on Twitter and Instagram. And go check out her award-winning blog, myvillageinumbria.com.
I like that.
I know. Elizabeth, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Very well. Quick correction, it's elizabethfheath.com.
Oh, excuse
with an
me.
F in the middle.
Oh,
Sorry
okay, for the website.
Yeah.
For the website?
Yes,
okay.
For the website. And that's I have samples of my writing there. So, and I want to get invited to a wine party. How do I rank that invitation?
Cool. You just say I want to go on a wine party.
You just
all right.
So do you drink wine all day?
Or any other kind of party you're having too? I'm happy to go along. Anyway.
Okay, I like this. I like these party ladies. I love this. And our bus travels. Her name is Wanda. She likes to wander around, and her name changes all the time. But so you're in Italy. Where are you in Italy today?
I am in Umbria. I live in a tiny little town called named Alarona, and it's right near the Umbria Tuscany. Trying to say Toscana, like I'm speaking Italian. Umbria, Tuscany, and Lazio border. So it's in a real green center of Italy. And this is, they call Umbria the green heart of Italy, or the lungs of Italy, because there's so much undeveloped green space and forest still in this part of the country.
Ooh, how cool. I like that.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
What led you to move to Italy?
Love.
Oh, amore.
For love. Yeah, I started coming for dead people in old buildings. I was working on a degree in archaeology, and I was coming over here to work on excavations, and then started thinking, I think I want to live here. How can I do that? How can I make it work financially, legally? Will I be happy? Blah, blah, blah. And then I met my future and current husband, and he's Italian, and he lives in this little town, and now so do I.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad he's your current husband.
Story.
Stays current.
My current husband. Yes.
That's always good. Hilarie, I wanted to ask you, have you been to Italy?
Just northern Italy, and quite a long time ago. So I was in the sort of alpine regions, in Lugano, Locarno, that region. But definitely it's on my to-do list, especially Corsica and the southern parts of Italy and Sicily. Yeah, definitely.
Now, does that have to do with
our favorite
wine?
wine is from, excuse me, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, our favorite wine is from my favorite. Our favorite wine is from the Alto Adige, from northern Italy. Those nice, crisp white wines are what we always order. Even though we're in wine country, we like the wine with a northern accent better.
Yeah, yeah. I like wines from everywhere, which is kind of wonderful. Be a problem sometimes, but.
I think it's a good thing. Nancy and I, we're not picky about what country a wine comes from, because
at all.
And what I love is America has every single state producing wine, which is amazing, because you never used to think that. And from guests like Hilarie being on our radio show teaching us about that, it makes me very excited. Nancy and I are about to get back on the road full time, traveling the country, visiting parks, which means there's wine involved. So that's it. You go for a hike and then have to have wine afterwards. I wanted to ask each of you where you were born, and where is the very first destination outside of the community that you lived in that you remember going, wow, I want to start, taking steps further afield. So let's start with you, Hilarie.
Oh, I was born in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And the first real trip I can remember, I think that would be actually to California when I was 6 years old. One of those great North American family auto trips, car holidays. pack everybody into the car and head down to see family in California and go to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and the Hollywood Walk of Fame, as much as it was at that time, and Grauman's Chinese Theater and all the typical touristy things. And I think, did the travel bug hit me then? Probably did, because I couldn't wait for family vacation. I was planning it, you know, by the time we were on our way home from that year's holiday. So yeah, maybe that is where it sprung.
Oh,
Cool.
and look at that, as a young girl going off and starting to plan it too. So those those skills going in, which go into being a travel writer. Elizabeth, tell us about you. Where were you born, and where was that first destination that opened your eyes to travel?
I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and the first voyage, the first trip out of St. Louis, I remember standing somewhere in Paducah, Kentucky. Okay, so it was not Paducah, Kentucky that inspired me to spend a lot of my life traveling, but that's my first memory of being outside of St. Louis. And then I started working, my first job out of college, I had to travel a lot for work and realized that I could, you know, see a lot of the world. At least I was seeing a lot of the United States at that point, and, you know, get paid to do it, or make a living and travel at the same time, I guess would be more accurate. And that really did it for me. So I was in my 20s then. So I already loved to travel, but I had not had that many opportunities. And then through work, these opportunities grew, and I've been finding excuses to travel ever since.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know.
Too much fun.
You know, I know that you did your doctoral studies in anthropology and archaeology. Does that ever come into play when you're going into the travel writing side, where you balance that, here's the fun and leisure, but really understand where you're setting foot?
You know what, the anthropology has probably helped me and informed me more than anything with the food writing I do, because I wound up sort of not entirely intentionally, in the way our careers sort of unfold. Things happen when you don't expect them to, and they go in directions that you don't anticipate. So I do all this food writing now, and the anthropology really informs me there, because I like to write about culinary traditions and the stories behind the food, and why do people still, you know, use these same recipes that have been handed down, or, you know, centuries old in some cases. So that's where I think the background helps me as much as anything. And then any excuse to walk around an archaeological site too is just great.
We're excited. Speaking of Kentucky, we're going to be in central Kentucky next year, exploring the Bourbon Trail. However, we did meet a gentleman on the air on one of our shows, Nicholas Laraclenti, and he does bourbon archaeology. And he's going to take us out doing, like, I don't know, we're digging for stills. Like,
That's great.
I know. I'm like, I just want to do that, but I hope we get to, like, you know, have a taste of the spirit as we're doing it. You know, we need fuel.
I'm sure you'll find a way.
Yeah,
historical archaeology is it's a really interesting, an interesting facet of archaeology, because it's easy to look at stuff from the early 20th century and say, you know, is that important? And these are the things that are vanishing in some cases more quickly than the older sites, because the value is not attached to them. If somebody finds a rusty old still out in the middle of the woods in Kentucky, is anybody going to attach any, you know, historical or archaeological value to that? So that's really interesting that he's developed that.
I'm going to have to send you his website. He's cool. He's got out all kinds of things. And and Hilarie, this is kind of, over the years of you coming on our shows and writing articles in the magazine, you're just one of these most amazing history storytellers. Like, Nancy and I always talk about this. Like, we don't realize, like, we're in history class. Like, you would be like, you should totally be a history teacher, because you bring it to life. Maybe it's easier because you're doing the history of wine and food and cheese and all these historic places. But you always bring in these stories of, how did those, vines get here? How did the vineyards get here? And who really did this? And it is
nice.
So fascinating to me about these places you've been. is that something? I know that you're a sommelier and you've got all these certifications in wine that I can't pronounce. I'm learning, but I can say sommelier now. And I can say champagne. There we go.
Yay!
I know. And Chateauneuf du Pape.
Oh my goodness, I am
very
so
good. See, your teaching
Excellent.
is done well, but you go into the history when you're traveling and focusing on different wines. That's something that you are into as well.
Oh, definitely. And I don't know, it just seems to me that it makes the picture more complete. And you can, when you know about a wine region's history and the people who planted the vines, how they got there, how the land was formed, why it contains the type of soils that it does, all of these little pieces of the puzzle, if you start to put them together, it just makes your glass so much more tasty. If you have more of an idea of where it came from and how it got there, to me, it just makes it more enjoyable than it already is. It's just, then it becomes a living, breathing thing instead of just a wonderful entity inside your glass that's tasty.
I agree because, and then you have that value, you understand, and you understand those generations. I think what's interesting is, Europe is fascinating when it comes to like the history of food, because even here in Tucson, right, here we are in Tucson, Arizona, we look at some of the food that we eat here, and some of that comes from Spain. I mean, it's like, and France, and then if you go down more towards San Diego, you get some food that's coming from, Germany and from Russia, actually going in over the border in Mexico. So it's really fascinating how culinary traditions have, spanned the world and changed as well. Like how we have tacos here and tortillas, that was a combination from Spain and Mexico.
It's the world is becoming so incredibly small now. I know when we were in France last visit, and I was in a grocery store, and they had a whole section of, it's a brand name, but Old El Paso Mexican products.
No way.
I thought, really? I can buy tortillas and enchilada sauce. It wasn't exactly what was on my shopping list that day, but I just found that so fascinating. That
those pop up here now too. The same, the Old El Paso, and even 10 years. Well, I've been here for 9 years, and 9 years ago you couldn't find those products here.
No,
like I would weep with joy if I found a jar of salsa or something. And now, it's pretty easy. Not, I don't say, we don't have a huge variety of ethnic foods, I guess is what the term would be, non-Italian foods. Down the 2 aisles of pasta in every grocery store, then there's a little shelf with some soy sauce and some salsa and things. But even just a few years ago, there wasn't that presence of the multicultural food, I guess. And the food culture here is quite homogenous too. I mean, there's it's Italian food from the north, from the south, from Sardinia, from Puglia, whatever, but it's still all Italian food. So even that there's this presence of some international food, I think speaks to sort of what you're talking about, the sort of the world foods now instead of just national.
It's interesting because here, like we talk about salsa, I have a salsa thing. I don't know if it's from being in boarding school and putting what we called train smash on everything, and that was in South Africa. It's tomato and onion and peppers, and in South Africa, Nancy, we had that on everything.
Well, yeah.
And so then when we got here, I'm like, well, it's not the same. And the closest I got to was salsa. Now, like, I'm totally full on salsa. That's it for everything. And if you don't like the food, drown it in salsa. Smash it with train smash.
You really need good tomatoes.
You need good tomatoes for it.
That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think back to Explorer days, everybody was crossing the ocean to get spices, and take it back to their homeland. So
trekking across mountain ranges.
Yeah.
The Far East,
Spice Road,
bringing them to Italy and to the rest of Europe. Yes.
Yeah, so we've always been like, let's go get some food.
That's our pleasure. I mean, food and sex. That's
and it all has to do,
and wine.
And wine.
And it comes to do with celebrations. Every celebration has food and drink.
I know. It's
awesome.
Yeah. And if you're lucky, some sex too, right?
That's right. I don't know which comes before or after, but it doesn't really matter. You know, that's how it goes. But so the one thing about talking about food, I want to know about like the most memorable dish. Okay, because there's all kinds of things. Nancy, would yours be goat in Kenya?
Don't. That was so horrible.
No, she's not into goat. But the most memorable dish, it could be the most fantastic, it could be the most bizarre, but the most memorable dish. So, Hilarie, for you, most memorable dish. I know, right?
That is really tough. I do remember an awful memorable dish. And this was, speaking of horrible things, and this was when I was living in Switzerland, in Zurich, and working there for an inbound American tour company. And I was invited with a small group of my coworkers to go to one of the guild houses. It was, I think, the Spice Merchants Guild House in Zurich. All the different merchant guilds have their own buildings, and they're absolutely wonderful and, again, full of history. But anyway, I was invited there for a dinner, and it was one of those sort of 10 courses with different wine type events. And of course, you have to eat what's put in front of you, or at least nibble at it. And most of it was fabulous and delicious. And I was just quaffing it all down along with the wines to go along, and discovered that I'd just eaten calves' brains. And I really know what it was on my plate, and it really didn't appeal to me, but I wanted to fit in, and I didn't want to disrespect our wonderful, gracious host. So I ate it, and I was kind of grossed out afterwards. And from that point on, any kind of offal, organ meats, I just try and avoid them as much as possible.
That's like that bacon kidney pie.
I can kind of feel it. It wasn't so much the taste, it was more the texture. And I can still, as I talk about it, and this is decades later, I'm grimacing as I tell the tale.
That I ate a stew and found out later there were mopani worms in it, and so that
those sound like big nasty worms, are they?
And they're chewy. They're so big and horrible.
Yeah,
and you couldn't tell in the stew, but you just kind of get this lump and swallow it and think.
Where was that?
Okay, I don't know. I don't think I want to really taste this, so I'm just gonna swallow it. And later you're like,
ew,
God.
That's freaky. That's freaky.
No, it's gross.
What about you, Elizabeth? Are you going to do a nice one or a gross one?
I'll see your worms and raise you.
Bad.
Isn't that funny? It's like of all the great food we get to eat, we remember the real gross stuff is what stands out as our most memorable, right? So I just published an article on this. I think the article went live yesterday on Vice Munchies. I ate the Sardinian cheese that has live maggots in it.
Oh.
And it's considered a delicacy. They're really small, so they're tiny, tiny, tiny. And I had asked a friend about this because this cheese is sort of legendary and kind of like, it's a contraband thing because the EU has banned it because people shouldn't eat fly larvae, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now that this cheese has gone underground, and if you want to find it, you need to be in Sardinia in most cases, and then and then you need to know somebody who knows somebody because you can't just walk into a store and say, "Hey, do you have any of this?" Called kazu marzu, which basically means rotten cheese, is what that translates to in the Sard language. Anyway. So I asked my friend about it, my Sardinian friend, and he's like, "I'll get us some." Because I'm like, no, you don't have to. I just had, just a couple questions. And he's like, no, I'll bring some over next time I come over. So he shows up with this cheese. I'm like, I got to eat this cheese. He's done this and like smuggled cheese and risked jail time for me to taste this cheese. I have to taste the cheese. So it was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be, but it was tough. to eat. It's super strong. It's a really pungent cheese. So you have to be a real cheese lover anyway to even get past the taste of it and the smell. And then, there's little tiny, minuscule little maggots jumping around. So, lots of strong, they're live, and you put a piece of bread, you put it on a piece of bread, then you put another piece of bread on top of it.
No.
Is that so you
keep them from hopping?
Yeah. It's like, is this part of your anthropology, archaeology?
Yeah.
Speaking of maggots. No, speaking of maggots, on your blog, myvillageinumbria.com,
yes.
There's a headline there, and maggots to green penises. What's with the green penises?
Oh yeah, that was about words in Italian that have other meanings.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
so piselli, which does mean
you win. You win the ugly food off.
I know, right? I don't ever want to eat. I know. I was thinking, oh gosh, now that I've eaten this, what's next?
Yeah.
But I'm not. This is the end of the line for me for like super disgusting food.
Oh.
So,
but I like the
and
language.
I had to drink a lot of red wine with it.
Oh yeah,
so.
I would too. I think the worst thing for me, really, there's two things. I mean, Africa wasn't that bad for me at all, and I did eat weird things, especially as a kid, because you don't care. But we used to eat flying ants and stuff like that. Yeah, we used to eat them, and we were kind of mean to bugs. But some of the worst things was hogshead cheese.
Oh,
I can't do that. I'm not a big meat eater, so it's hard anyway. But then you do that, and it's like no, and there's like grainy bits. No. That it's about the texture thing. The worst thing though in England. No offense to all my English friends, but the trifle thing needs to stop. This wobbly thing with custard, lumpy, jello-y thing.
Wonderful.
No, you do not put bananas in it. You do not put custard with lumps. You do not have jello that has a skin on the top. You need to, no. You do not put soggy cookies at the bottom of it and make it even soggier so that sorry.
They eat it here too, and they call it English soup. Soup inglese. It's trifle. Yeah, English soup.
Oh yeah.
So I don't like it either, but I'd probably eat that again before I had the maggot cheese.
I don't know. I'll do the maggot cheese and.
All right.
I
don't
feel
know,
like
but
I need to stand up for
I can get you some. I know a guy who knows a guy.
Does he have a green penis? That's a green penis. Well, no, that's what it's got to do with the different when you translate things directly, it's completely, If I did that,
they have other meanings here. Like a piselli does mean green peas, right? Like little peas in a pod, but it also means a penis, like a little, it's a slang term for penis. And there's several that are. Potato is a slang word for part of the female anatomy. So I don't know why, but
I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I learned the hard way because like here they say fanny, and that's not that way in other countries.
Oh yeah, that's a different. That's
So when we got here, I had to change
part of the anatomy.
I said I said some things, and of course I had an accent when we first moved back here, and it wasn't just fanny; it was fanny. Don't smack me on the fanny, and you don't say that. You can say that here, but you can't say it over there. But anyway, no.
We used to call mini skirts fanny pelmets.
Yes. But anyway, now you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that in other countries. You just can't. Well, you can if you want, but Oh well, there it is.
Fanny pack when you travel.
Yeah. Now when you travel,
this conversation is really taking a turn here, ladies.
Oh, well, we need some wine. But I'm just following your blog, Elizabeth. But speaking of language, do you travel with? Do you run up on? Well, no, Hilarie, you speak French, right?
So no, I don't. No.
Really?
Do.
Oh, no. I thought you were like totally like a fluent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's on the, oh my God, I wish I could list, but it's not there anywhere near there yet.
So what do you do? Do you read books? Do you do like a course before you travel, or you just jump in?
Well, it's a combination of all of those things. I have a couple of online courses that I utilize. I mean, growing up in Canada, I took French in school, so there is some ingrained in my brain somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So I do brush up so I can function in basic things. But I have found that good old Google Translate on my phone has been indispensable. And sometimes when you get into a situation where it's difficult, like your car breaks down or some other horrible thing befalls you, it's amazing how generous people are and how they forgive your lack of language skills and help you out. So yes, I think and a lot of it sort of appears out of nowhere sometimes too. And the longer I stay there, of course, the better. So good reason to just move there for about 6 months and immerse myself, and that'll hopefully take care of the problem.
That's pretty much what Lisa and I have done. It's like we go visit a country and then somehow
you just
end up living there.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah. So yeah, we're here. We've been here for a while though now. So well, now we're going to travel nonstop, so that's okay. So what do you do, Elizabeth? Especially in Italy, did you take classes or?
I never took classes, and I feel that a lot because I make a lot of grammatical errors because I learned Italian just sort of sink or swim way of doing it. So when I met my husband, I spoke, a little, very little, and then I learned in speaking with him. And then I would say after I moved here, it took me like a good 3 years to really feel like I could keep up with fast-moving conversations. To call when my internet was out and have to get on the phone with somebody for technical things like that. Like those are the things that would terrify me. Like I'd hand my husband the phone and he'd say, "No, you make the call." I mean, he sort of forced me to I was like, "No, please call for me. Call the cable guy. Call the cable guy."
Larry.
So when I learned a dialect because in the town where I live, in the region where we live, people speak in dialect. So even if I go to, Orvieto, which is 20 minutes away, sometimes I'll use a term sort of gives away where I'm from. And somebody, dialect, dialect. I'm like, I didn't know it was dialect. For me, that's just what I learned. So
it's like English.
So no,
this is a new accent. I don't understand any of it.
I'm just now able to I can hear the different accents, but I couldn't tell you necessarily where they're from. Like I can say, that sounds northern, but my husband could hear it and say, oh no, they're from Emilia Romagna. No, they're from Puglia, like that. And just like we can with people in the U.S., well, I'm from the U.S., so can make out those accents. So it's interesting.
And it's neat because I know you've written a guidebook for Rome, Frommer's Rome Day by Day, and done a lot of writing over in the States, which is like you're like the Italian correspondent now for tourism for Italy, which is neat.
I like to think of myself as that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, are you getting a lot of people like communicating with you and saying, "Hey, I'm coming over. What's the best place?" Are you? Because I know how we get people trying to check into RVs and RV parks and stuff on our website. And we're like, no, this is not us. Do you get a lot of people asking you like, "Hey, I'm coming out. Where should I go?" That kind of thing.
Yeah, I get a lot of, I'll have people contact me through Facebook that are friends of friends, something like that. And then once in a while I'll get the random, "Oh, I want to move to Italy. How can I do that?" I'm like, well, you need to marry an Italian for starters. That makes it a lot easier.
You got to eat cheese with maggots. No, I'm kidding.
You got to eat cheese with maggots, marry an Italian, drink wine. So sort of random that, but most of my advice I try to channel through whatever, sort of vehicle I'm writing for. So not too many. I don't have to give out too much unsolicited. Or solicited, I guess it would be travel advice, yeah.
I was going to say, Hilarie, for you, with what you do, writing about wine, when you go out, do you ever go out with people who have never gone wine tasting before and start looking at you like, help me?
Yes, total novices. And sometimes they think that I'm going to give them a lecture or something, but I don't. I mean, everybody starts somewhere, right? I mean, none of us were born drinking wine. Although maybe in Italy it's possible.
I know you could. That's what the umbilical cord of wine.
About that. Always thinking maybe people did give their babies wine,
and maybe that's why some people are happier than others.
I mean, I think back to my mom with a pacifier dipped in corn syrup to keep us quiet. I mean, you might as well use wine.
They advise, now doctors don't advise it, I don't think, but like the old wives here will advise you to drink red wine while you're breastfeeding, because it's supposed to make more milk come or something. Like, it just makes your baby drunk and go to sleep is probably why they tell you to do it.
Yeah. You know? Who knows? Who knows? I want to touch on both of you in your writing as travel writers and how you keep up with your notes. How do you do that? And also, actually, I wanted to ask you too, Elizabeth, because I was looking that you you are the regional editor for Touring Bird for Google.
Right.
It's the internal project incubator. The bird has an incubator.
Oh.
Sorry.
I know.
It's a voice about it.
What is this about?
So Touring Bird is a project that recently launched from Google, and it's called Area 120. Google's internal incubator is called Area 120, and the internal incubator, the way I understand it works, is that if somebody within Google has an idea for a new project, a new platform, something they can apply to just work on that idea. And Google says, okay, go, your full-time job now is to develop this idea. So they have a team of people, this Area 120, who get to work on special projects like that. So Touring Bird came out of this Area 120 group, and it's a platform, it's a mobile-friendly website, and we've launched in 20 cities, and where you can go in and get information on local tips, on tours, paid tours, free tours, things to do. So, I mean, it's all big. Google's got a huge travel product anyway, and this is another piece of that. So I edit I edit local tips for that for cities around the world.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been a neat project to work on. It's been really neat.
Yeah, that's neat. I think it's the personal connection is important when it comes to travel writing. And years ago, it used to be, don't be that way. You need to be don't be opinionated. But I think
right.
Yeah, so that we never agreed with that.
Right. This group would fail.
Yeah, but it's changed so much because it's like, if you can tell when someone's never been there and they're just repeating what they can find on the internet. And I think Google has really gone after that. Like, you will not be like that. Stop copying people.
It's authenticity. Authenticity is what people want in so many different things, and especially in travel and in communicating and writing about travel. Yeah, you're right. Gone are the days you could fake it, I think, where you're given an assignment to write an article about a place you've never even been to.
Right.
Versus finding somebody who's lived there or is super familiar with the area, because you can hear it in the tone of the article. And it's definitely changed from those Europe on $20 a day type guidebooks that we grew up with.
Yeah, because you want to have the atmosphere. And to me, you need to be able to smell it through there. Like you say, you hear it. You should be able to smell and hear and have that feeling of, feel the temperature where you are.
Those words that are used, that your mind goes back to those days of those, see Europe on $1 a day kind of books. When they say cozy, they mean that's really tiny.
Yeah.
When they
right.
Or quaint, the wallpaper's peeling off. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
right.
eccentric.
And breezy. There's breezy. Breezy is a good word. It's awesome. Hilarie, you always write in this way of, not always, but there's this feeling of like, this is an epic adventure. Like, you're going to take us to the past, and then now here we are. And you take us through the then and now in this, it's like this epic adventure. I feel like you should be writing movies. Like, really. You should.
Well,
you should be like working with Ken
adventure.
Burns, you know?
Well, thank you. Well, he can give me a call whenever he wants. But no, like I say, life should be an epic adventure. I mean, even the day you get up and, hey, I'm going to go to the grocery store later today. I hope I do have some sort of adventure. I hope I discover something new or look at something in a different way, or my views, or maybe every time I talk to somebody, I want my brain to click and hear and see and taste something in a slightly different fashion. Because if you stay stagnant, it's I don't know. For me, it's not a good thing.
No, it's boring.
Yeah. And there's always new wine coming out from another place.
Trying to keep up with the wine world is mind-boggling. And as a lot of people, it's not just me say it, but people in the wine business will tell you that the more you learn, basically the more you realize how much you've forgotten. Because there's just it's endless. Just endless, which makes it fascinating.
Travel keeps you young because it keeps you keep learning. Yeah. Whether or not you intended to, you're going to stumble across something that changed your life. It's just going to happen if your eyes are open to see it. Hilarie, when you travel and you're doing your articles that you do, are you taking notes on your phone? Do you do handwritten? Are you taking it just through the visuals and then looking at things later?
It's a combination. I'm not really super techie outside of using my phone for photos, but I'm still a notebook and a pen and a highlighter kind of person. I write everything down. I come home with books full of notes, and that's how I do it. And then I have my pictures, and I use my pictures and rereading my notes to help me formulate how I'm going to approach stories and what information I'm going to use and how I'm going to section it up for different articles. But definitely the photos and the videos play a big part because they do kind of put me back there.
Yeah, they help you in that vibe, put you back in the atmosphere. And how about you, Elizabeth? How do you take all your notes?
I usually carry a notebook with me and scrawl some notes as they come to me, or as I'm whatever I'm doing, and then I'll try to remember conversations that I have with people and jot down notes from that. Either if they know they're being interviewed, I'll take notes as I go. Otherwise, just try to recall snippets. I don't probably take as thorough notes as I should, but then when I get back from a trip, I lay in bed at night and think about, how am I going to approach this? How am I going to approach this? And then usually by the time I sit down to write, I already know pretty much what I'm going to say. And that's just kind of always been the approach I take. So sometimes it works, and sometimes if I find out if I wait too long, I don't know if Hilarie or if you all have the same experience, but if I wait too long after getting back from a trip to write it down, to write the story, then I lose something in that amount of time. Yeah.
I find sometimes, especially when we're out in the nature thing, that I get the words while I'm there. The actual, this is exactly the atmosphere right now. And there's no way you're going to get that again unless you have a photo or something like that, but there's that. And if you wait, you've lost that loving feeling, man.
It's true.
Definitely. And interspersed in my notes that I take when I'm out going places and visiting and chatting with people and interviewing winemakers and so on, I will make, if a story idea comes to me, I write that in the book and then highlight it. So when I go back later, I'll go, right, okay. And then I can use that as sort of my central theme, and then pull bits and pieces from my notes and my experiences into that. And when I get home, I'll outline different story ideas and maybe write the first couple of paragraphs. And even if I don't get to it right away, I've got that beginning and an outline and where I want to take the information and the reader. And then I can go back to it later and flesh it all out.
Awesome.
Oh, I'm going to steal your method, I think. That sounds great.
Yeah, the Elizabeth
great
method.
approach.
But I agree. You always come home and you think, oh my God, I've written, a book just taking notes. And then you get home and you read them and you go, I should have written something. I should have done more. I should have done this. It's, again, always a learning experience. And I think writers by nature we're all procrastinators and we're never satisfied, which probably keeps us going.
Yeah,
I'm never satisfied.
I thought that was just me.
It's like the blank canvas, when I was painting, and you've got this big white square in front of you, and you've got all these colors, and you've got an idea of what you want. And I remember one class I took where the professor was like, okay, don't do the sketch. Just leave that part out. Because once you do the sketch, you're married to it. And which turns out not to be true, but because you can always change it. So, but it was an interesting concept. Just the blank white canvas, put something down, and then it'll follow from there. And so it's kind of, I think it's the same thing when you go to write. You're looking at this blank piece of paper or your computer screen, and it's like, what am I doing?
Oh, just throw some wine on it, then you'll be fine.
So it's just kind of that first start. Once you start, even if you go down the wrong path, you find it and you go, oh, I'm going to go this way now. Yeah. But it's just that initial, there's nothing, and you got to put it there.
Yeah. That's the beginning, like when you step on the train and it's like, okay, now what's happening? Where are we going? Where's the next new site? Yeah, get your seat. You sit down and you order a glass of wine. So, ladies, you're both
you must not travel on Italian trains.
I like that. I know. And it just wine.
I don't think anybody's ever offered me a glass of wine.
That's how travel should be with wine.
I know.
Everything with wine. You both are members of the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association, and so I wanted to ask each of you one reason or one highlight for you being part of that organization that you said, okay, this is really beneficial for me as a writer, or maybe even it's on the networking side. It could be on any level. For you, Hilarie, what's one of the most bigger benefits for you?
I would say I enjoy a lot of the benefits. I enjoy the members' Facebook page. I find that really informative and a good way to get to know other people. And it's amazing how generous the other members are with their information and what they've learned and helping one another out. I think that's a really good benefit. But for me personally, I think the most lasting benefit have been the press trips that I've been on through IFWTWA. I've been probably on about 4 or 5, I think, since I've joined. When did I join? 4 years ago, I think it was. And every single one of them has been really, really well organized, well paced, a very broad scope of visits, so that we cover a lot of the trifecta, the food, wine, as well as the travel. And I found those to be extremely valuable benefit for me.
Right on. I think it's a cool community. I mean, I just, even on, I love watching the Twitter stream. If everyone, I go to hashtag IFWTWA, you don't have to be a travel writer, but if you're into travel, food, or wine, just watch that stream of articles, man. It is the coolest. You just go around. If you want to go for a trip around the world in a day, that's what you do. You just sit and watch that hashtag.
Yeah, and we have a public Facebook page as well as the members only one. So the public one is a great place for people to go to see what our writers are up to, where they are, what they're doing. And yeah, it's cool. It's such a diverse group. It's fascinating bunch of people.
It is cool. We have fun interviewing all the writers. and they come back from different destinations. You're like, whoa, that's cool. And like Elizabeth, I know, I get to, chat with you while you're living in Italy. I mean, you can't get better than that. So what are some of the benefits for you?
Well, I'm a relatively new member too, so I have not been able to, and I've not, just haven't taken advantage of all the benefits yet. But for me, because I think I joined in February, so really new member. But for me, it's been like Hilarie said, the supportive community, the willingness to help out other writers, because I'm in other writers groups and Facebook groups of writers, and trust me, they don't all have that sense of community and willingness to share information, share contacts, share leads for press trips, for places to sell articles, place articles. So the networking has been great for me. The community, particularly for me, because I live in a small town, in the middle of kind of nowhere, Italy. So a lot of my professional life is online. So to have that community of writers from all over the world, who, I've made friends with some of you on Facebook and here and there, and we follow each other on Twitter and Instagram, and that's been a real plus for me. And then I'm going to get myself on a couple of these press trips here in the coming year, I hope too. So
cool. Come out to Tucson. We'll take you on the tequila tour, and we can hop over the border and get with the one with the worm in it, so we can.
I'll bring the cheese, right?
And for networking
we can
too,
have a worm party.
A worm off, yeah.
Oh God.
Okay, last question from each of you, and here it is. Okay, so you're going to be able to go on a road trip anywhere, all expenses paid, anywhere in the world. Where are you going on that road trip? So start to finish, okay? Where are you starting, where are you ending? Who is in the passenger seat with you? One person. They could be, anybody. It could be someone who's passed on, someone you know, someone you don't know, someone you want to meet. Who is in your passenger seat? And most importantly, what music is being played that you have control over?
Road trip.
Better make sure that person lets you play the music.
So it's a road trip. Like we're in a car. It has to be a road trip, right? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
But it doesn't have to. It can be anywhere in the world that has roads.
Anywhere in the world, yeah. It's
Great,
a road
as long as
trip.
there's a road. All right.
Yeah. So Hilarie, let's start with you, since that even started off your world of travel.
Well, I'm thinking when he said who, there's only one person that I love to travel with, and that's my husband, Craig. So I know it's schmaltzy, but that's who would be with me. Cool. And I wasn't sure where I would want to go because there's so many on my list. But when you said music, I was thinking I would like to go on a road trip through Ireland with Craig, listening to Gary Moore.
Yes, I'm with you. And you can go through Ireland playing Parisian walkways.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh, Gary Moore. Yes, he's the man.
Oh, most definitely.
He's still one of the best ever.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think that would be it. And, there's no wine in Ireland, but there's lots of beer and Irish whiskey. So I think we could make do for this time.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine. You'll be just fine. I like that. And you might see some fairies too, because they have fairies in Ireland. Just saying.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Elizabeth, where are you going?
Oh gosh, everywhere I haven't been. So that's still a lot of places. It's so hard to narrow it down. So I would say for a road trip, I would probably, my first on my list would be New Zealand. I've never been there, and it's very high on my list of places that I want to go. So touring the islands and hither and yon and hill and dale and forest and everything. And with apologies to my dear husband, if I had to, take an epic adventure with somebody and think of like anybody in the world, past or present, I could go with, sounds like kind of a cliche, but I might try to hang with Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, dude.
So if I could keep up with him, I'm not sure. And we'd be listening to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. And some Iggy Pop. You play some Iggy Pop.
Oh yeah, of course Iggy Pop. Yeah.
Iggy's got to be out there, man.
Because I thought, well, David Bowie, Talking Heads. I'm like, no, need something a little bit more.
Talking Heads seems like they'd go really well in New Zealand for some reason. I feel like they could be like floating on I don't know, but they seem, I don't know. But anyway, I like that. Good road trips, ladies, and awesome conversation. Thank you for joining us again. Everyone, you can keep up with Hilarie. Go to northwindswineconsulting.com. She's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. And also keep up with Elizabeth on her website, elizabethfheath.com. Did I get it right this time?
You did. Thank you.
Yay. And also her blog, myvillageinumbria.com. And she's also on Instagram, Twitter, and you're not Facebook, right? Or you do Facebook?
No, I don't have a public Facebook page.
Okay, so Twitter and Instagram is where to keep up with her. And now we're going to play some music from Emiliano Deferrari, and he's traveling all over. Ever since we started talking with him, I'm like, wow, look how much he travels. And that's what we did when he came on our radio show. We talked all about world travel. This is his latest album. It's called Monty, named after his studio where he recorded in Brussels, in Belgium. That's where he lives now. The album is all in Italian. He is from Rome, and Genoa is actually where he's from, but he lived in Rome. And this is called Ecco, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's ECCO. Elizabeth, what do you think? Ecco?
Ecco. Like means here. Ecco me. Here I am. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here I am. Here it is from Monty, and you can keep up with him at emilianodeferrari.com. Thanks so much, ladies.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. It was great.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, here on Big Blend Radio. You can keep up with us at bigblendradio.com.
Quando arriva l'ora, non hai bisogno di chiedere e non hai bisogno di risposte. Quando arriva l'ora è soltanto il momento. Non sei mica in ritardo, non c'è ragione di credere, fai la conta se vuoi e poi salta, siamo fatti di carta e per un po' vola. Quando fu il suo momento, il suo attimo, lo decisero solo le stelle. Fu l'amore con tanto di fuochi ed un lungo becco di cicogna. E quando invece di spaccare il secondo venne fuori senza lacrime e il sangue che gli fai non respiri le note che ascoltava nel blu della pancia e si vola. Quello mio non è pronto, sarà qui con le nebbie d'inverno. Forse io l'avrò intuito, sarà improvviso per protrarsi in eterno. Come dire che muoio da vivo e qualcosa di cui già mi pento. Allunghiamo la vita un minuto e sarà quello alla fine il momento. Il momento.
momento, prepararsi e poi prendere il treno, va più in fretta di quello in ritardo, non decido, è soltanto il mio tempo, la mia vita è decisa all'istante, e fai la conta se vuoi e poi salta, se mi piace perché sei un gigante, bella e dolce ma non è importante, è un po' si vola.
Everyone, that was Ecco by Emiliano Deferrari, and it's off of his brand new album, Monty. Awesome album. He's also featured in the current issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. You can check it out at blendradioandtv.com. And now it is time for some world cinema Hollywood history with Steve Schneickert, who is also featured in Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. You can find him at blendradioandtv.com as well.
The United States, the UK, France, Spain, Italy, India, and all around the world. World cinema is a term used primarily in English-speaking countries to refer to the films and film industries of non-English-speaking countries. It is therefore often used interchangeably with the term foreign film. However, both world cinema and foreign film could be taken to refer to the films of all countries other than one's own, regardless of native language. World cinema has an unofficial implication of films with artistic value as opposed to Hollywood commercialism. Movies are a universal language. It is magic, and magic is universal. That is what it is like. It is magic. The cinema helps people to escape, to forget the day-to-day. Movies trigger all the senses: sight, sound, and emotions. Some like to be swept off their feet by a film, to feel the goosebumps. Movies allow one to live other lives. Some may cry if the film is very touching. Film moves me in a way that is unforgettable. It triggers emotions that touch me profoundly and personally. That is the magic of the cinema. Cinema is not just a movie. Cinema is art. Cinema is the only thing that, with images, can unite people. We cry for the same reasons. We laugh at the same things. When a movie touches you, it is the best. It affects one in every sense. One change can change and make a difference. So it is a perpetual epiphany. Here are some favorite movies as stated from individuals around the world. The Bicycle Thief, La Vie en Rose, Amelie, Farewell, My Concubine, The Last Metro, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, La Strada, Talk to Her, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Day for Night, The Graduate, Mrs. Robinson, You're Trying to Seduce Me, Young Frankenstein, that's Frankenstein, Annie Hall, Modern Times, The Big Lebowski, It's Like a Xanax, Citizen Kane, Rosebud, and Cinema Paradiso. I am Steve Schneickert, and this is Hollywood History as I recall it.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our special Big Blend World Radio Party today, especially our guests Glynn Burrows, Hilarie, Larson, Elizabeth Heath, and Steve Schneickert. We also want to thank the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association for sponsoring today's party. You can go to ifwtwa.org to keep up with this amazing organization. We will be back tomorrow, Monday, November 12th at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It's our Success Express Business and Career Show. We're going to be chatting with Ralph Massengill Jr. He's the author of Conquer, Change, and Win, an easy-to-read, fun book on the serious subject of change. Now, Ralph is a guru when it comes to marketing and PR. He's won so many awards, and that has been his main career. And he's going to be sharing some advice on tourism, marketing, and branding. Also, Sarah Elliston, author of Lessons from a Difficult Person, How to Deal with People Like Us. She's on the show to share communication tips on working with difficult and irritating colleagues. Who hasn't had to handle that? Some people quit, and she's saying, don't quit. There's better ways to do it. So it's going to be a great show tomorrow. And, again, you can keep up with our Big Blend Radio schedule at bigblendradio.com. And our digital magazines are all on bigblendmagazines.com. Again, in honor of our serving military, those who have served in the past and present, here's a song from Nicki, singer Nicki. You can go to nickikris.com. That's Kris. It is Captain America, one of her latest singles. Enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Take care.
Sleepy boy turned quickly into a man. Wants to do what's right, the best that he can. His strength is something